The cosmic joke, it's pretty hilarious, huh? That we think we're separate. How'd that happen? But when you're in the joke, talk about humor being such a release and such a wonderful thing. But when you're in the joke of believing that you're separate from everything, it is so painful. And the waking up from that is, I mean, I don't know if you had this experience, but I laughed my ass off the first time I saw that I was not like actually a self. Like I just thought it was so hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. You suddenly what you believed a second before is not what you believe now. You see something new now. And it's like, oh, like it's a surprise. That's where laughter comes from. Is part of it is a surprise. So the cosmic joke is once we see it, it really is can be a surprise to many people.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Ilona.
So wonderful to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you. I feel like I've known you for a long time now.
Well, today I'm talking to Sarah Taylor, and she's a spiritual awakening guide. She's a healer, and she's also has a funny bone. She used to be a comedian. So I hope this conversation is going to be very serious and in depth, but as
Very
well,
serious.
light and joyful and maybe a little funny. So
Maybe a little funny. We'll see what happens.
we'll see what happens.
A lot of pressure.
Yes. Hmm. Sarah, I ask everyone, I'll ask you, what is your definition of awakening?
Uh, well, the word awakening is thrown around quite a lot in spiritual circles. If you go on TikTok or Instagram, everybody's talking about awakening, hashtag awakening. I look at awakening as waking up from the separate self. So waking up to the non-dual nature of reality. Yeah.
Mm, spot on. Yes, because there are so many people talking about it in different aspects of it. For me, it's a shift, like a profound shift where we've seen the world, ourselves, and others in one way, and then it shifts into another way. But that specific shift in non-duality, seeing that there's no separate self, is exactly what we are talking about on the show, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's radical shifts in identity. So when people come to me and say, I'm in an awakening, I'm like, great. How do you feel yourself? What do you, and they're like, what? Like, tell me about how you experience your own being. Well, no, I'm having an awakening because I'm seeing things and this is happening. And it's like, no, no, what's going on here? So yeah, it's about identity,
Mhm.
the
Um,
lack of one.
so how did that lack of your identity came through? I mean,
Well,
your
um,
identity.
yeah, exactly. Well, I think it happened in when I look back on it in three chapters, really. Um, with the first one being seeing through the fictionalized self. And so seeing through the fiction of self, that I'm not what I thought I was. I'm not the stories, the memories, the labels. Um, I'm not my ideas and concepts about myself or other people. The self was a concoction. That's what it felt like. And that concoction kind of went. And it was, big, 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 big release at the time. And so what was seen is that the self was empty. And so for about 5 years, there was an empty center. So there still was a self, right? But it was just seen as empty. Uh, and then there was a shift uh, where oh gosh, how do we even put it into words? Where I was at a meditation retreat and any division between inner and outer completely fell away. And with it, that empty center as well, that empty sense of self. And so what was seen is because I am inherently empty, the self is inherently empty, I'm everything. And
Mhm.
so it was seen that everything is the one thing and that I'm not separate from it. And so the veil of separation fell away. And that was about 5 years of integrating and embodying that. And then there was a further shift where even the non-dual self, the unified self, the self that includes everything and everyone is empty and full at the same time, popped. And just this, just, no more I am, but just am. I
Mm.
don't know if I were to say a word, just a roaring um, presence, just, yeah, without a someone here, who's either empty or full, who's either separate or not separate. It's just everything's
Wow.
happening,
And
man.
yes, and here it is, right here, right
And
now.
here it is, right here.
Hmm. And in your
Yeah.
journey, what triggered these changes or these shifts? Was it like inquiry, healing? I don't know. What was that in your journey? What brought
Yeah,
you?
such a good question because so many times people just say, I woke up. Well, how? What happened? Um, I had a very serious Buddhist practice. I began studying Theravada Buddhism and I got into the jhanas. If you're familiar with the jhanas, yeah, p playing with the jhanas, I found I had a lot of facility with them. I remembered them from being a kid and doing them, I guess, as a kid, going into jhana. And that led to a fascination with Dzogchen and Mahamudra teachings. And so I would go on meditation retreats with a therapist who also was teaching meditation, did a good job at it. And I started remembering, I guess we could say remembering these Dzogchen practices of just resting as awareness and eyes open from being a child and doing it on the playground. And so it all felt very familiar to me. I was pretty hyper focused. I found out years later that I'm autistic and ADHD, and neurodivergent people love to hyper focus. So my hyper focus, my hyper fixation was meditation, and I was an intense meditator, 5, 6 hours a day, 3, 4 hours a day, uh, while I was doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles. So like as one does, right? Um, being an actress and all that stuff because I'd been a theater actress and everything. So it was interesting to go from like, I don't know, Mount Baldy Zen Center on a Sunday after like an 8-day retreat and then to a comedy show that Tuesday night at like the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory. But it gave me um, an impetus to integrate and to
Mm,
embrace my humanity as well as my spirituality, if we could call it that, right?
yeah.
And so these awakening moments happened after meditations, but always eyes open. Uh, yeah, inquiry, I really when I read the Buddhist teachings on how self is illusory and all the teachings on the self, it resonated with me. It felt familiar. I believed it, even though I didn't have direct experience of it. Um, but I was really focused on just being as concentrated as possible with my meditation practice and exploring the limits of consciousness.
Mhm.
And I've said this before to people. It sounds kind of weird, but I kind of knew that waking up was something that would happen or kind of was possible. And I was always like, okay, just a little bit more. I just want to wake up a little bit more. I just want to know what the boundaries are of consciousness. Like, where does it end? So it was sort of this inquiry where I was playing with how far can I go without losing my humanity? I had a story that I would lose my humanity. So yes, I was doing inquiry into what the self was and where are boundaries. But I was doing intensive, meditation and open eye, walking around, inquiry. Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh. That's wonderful to hear because so many people are awakening, yes, and there are even more of them seeking for that, waiting for that to happen. And as you're sharing that you have been meditator, you have been serious, you have been digging, you have been practicing, going to retreats. Wow, that kind of shows that there needs to be some kind of dedication or some kind of
Yeah.
readiness for it.
Yeah, I think there does. Yeah. It's the body mind system pays attention when we focus and when we make something important.
Mhm.
And that's why, you know, in non-dual circles, people can poo-poo intention a lot, right? But I think
Right.
intention is really important. And you know, I was never a bhakta. You know,
Mm-hmm.
bhakti in the Hindu tradition is that devotion. I guess I was devoted to truth. I was devoted to knowing what reality is. And so that can drive people in many ways, you know, this devotion to know what truth is, you know, even in small ways, like I want to know the truth of this situation with this jackass who's pissing me off on the freeway. Like, what is really happening here? Oh, it's me. It's my reaction, you know? So not always seeking the truth of, you know, the ultimate truth, but truth in small ways. I think if somebody's quite dedicated to truth,
Mm-hmm.
then they're gonna get what they want, you know? I mean, you know, I think so in
Right.
some way, small or large. Yeah.
Sweet. Mm. And now you are supporting people on their journeys. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, when I was meditating and things were starting to fall away and uh, starting to experience these different states of consciousness, I was really passionate. I was like, I got to teach this to the actors and the comedians here in LA. They're all so effed up. We're all so effed up. And so I had this little group that I would hold on Monday nights called Comedy Karma, where we would meditate, and I would teach them something like metta meditation or shamatha meditation, and I would throw out the inquiry like, you know, who are you really? You know, what are you underneath, you know, all the stories about yourself? Just let's do a writing prompt about this. Like, who are you if you weren't what you believed you were from your parents or whatever? So kind of gentle inquiry with comedians, and we do these writing prompts and share and write jokes, and that went on like every week, and then eventually people started coming to me. I was a massage therapist at the time, so I was doing massage and doing, yeah, I was a body worker and driving around LA with my table, and uh, yeah, people started coming to me to really have a stronger meditation practice, and I started doing energy healing work. So people started seeing me for that. Um, and I started, some intuition started opening up. So I know in non-dual circles, we don't really like to talk about the phenomena that can open up on the awakening path, but yeah, but a lot of, I'm a mystic. I'm wired mystically. So, you know, I started seeing through the veil into other, I don't know, other dimensions, knowing things about people. So people started coming to me for these sessions. I trained in Reiki, but really the energy healing that I do today is kind of beyond and includes Reiki, but is beyond that. But so it just sort of naturally evolved out of doing body work and being a healer since the 90s in that respect. And before I knew it, it kind of I do have to say I woke up one day and I was like, wow, this is like the bulk of what I'm doing is supporting people with spiritual stuff. Like, whoa, okay. This is where the river is taking me. So so yeah, so I've been doing it for about I guess 15 years, maybe 12 years, 11 years more seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. So if all these instruments that you have, the body, the energy, the mind, the emotions, you're like a one person orchestra.
Maybe. maybe a little out of tune back then. Oh, but getting more in harmony, I guess, as life went on. Yeah,
And it's wonderful to have so many tools because then you can assist people in whatever they need in the moment, in that time when
that's a
they
good
come.
point. Yeah, that's a good point. I like to meet people where they're at, and a lot of the people who come to see me, they want awakening. They're seekers. I mean, I know all the people that come to see you are definitely seekers. And I often get people who they don't know what they're seeking, but
Hmm.
they want more healing.
Hmm.
They want to feel like they're authentically aligned in their life. And whatever doorway somebody is coming in, I mean, they could be buying a crystal at a crystal shop or have listened to, all of the non-duality teachings that exist on YouTube. And, it doesn't matter wherever they are on the spectrum of spirituality and whatever doorway they're walking into, somebody who's into astrology, like, okay, sure, let's look at your chart and let's see if I can slip some non-dual pointers in there. But yeah, I think it's important to meet people where they're at, don't you? Because otherwise
Yes,
it's just, yeah,
it's
you're hitting
everyone
hitting
comes
over
in
the
with their own language and with their own fertile ground for seeds. Let's
Yeah.
call it that. So if
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know somebody's language, I can talk in that language, then that seed can be planted and start growing easier
That's right.
rather than trying to put new concepts or new ideas or new way of speaking that is not familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
for
It's helpful.
example, if you meet somebody and they say, "Oh, I speak to angels," or I see spirit guides," for somebody else that's completely foreign language. They don't understand that. They
Yeah.
they may be seeing the same, but they're not calling that. Like they call it
Sure.
intuition, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's important to meet people where they're at and use their language. Yeah. Yeah. I like how you were asking me about the comedy in the beginning because it's comedy clubs are a very unholy place to hang out. It's the people are drinking and they're miserable and they want to forget. They want to, be immersed in something that's like not their life. They don't want to, think about what's going on or think about their feelings. And yet at the same time, when you make them laugh, um, there's this there's this unity there, that everybody's connected, everybody's in on something
Mm,
at the same time. So,
yeah, in
so
on a joke. Because
yeah,
laughter is universal language, same like silence.
yeah,
What else?
yeah, exactly, exactly. Silence and humor, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So being able to use whatever. That's why I love talking to people who actually like are awake and like don't do this stuff, right? Don't you, Alona? Like people
Mhm.
who like aren't spiritual teachers or, healers and are just like awake and they're like a bus driver or something, or I know some awake people that are in the entertainment industry.
Oh,
Um, yeah, yeah, that have woken up from the separate self and are like, wow. And whenever I talk to them every few months, they're like, what am I still doing here? You know, like, well, you'll be there until it's time to not be. But,
mm,
gosh, the entertainment industry could sure use more awake beings,
hmm,
as the politics, the realm of politics, finance, like everything, teaching, education. Yeah.
mm. Do you think that
Yeah.
more and more people are waking up, like in your experience? It's
Um,
like a big wave or something? Because that's the
you
hope.
know,
That's the
I
hope.
know that's the hope. And people really talk about it, whatever language they're using, like, new age people are like, it's accelerating, the ascension is happening, and non-dual people are like, yes, people are waking up. Um, I do find that it's happening to more and more people who aren't seeking it. And
Hmm.
I tend to get people coming to me who are like, this crazy thing happened to me. I don't know what it was. I was just meditating. And then I like went on YouTube or something and I heard about non-dual awakening. I don't know what that is, but then I found your website. Like, what's going on, you know? So a lot of people not having teachers, not having context for what's happening. And that, although that's really wonderful and beautiful, I think that's rough when you don't have context for what's
Mhm.
happening.
Mhm.
So I do think there are more people that are having types of awakening where they're seeing through what they once believed to be true, you know, what they've once attached to or been very rigid about and thought they knew for sure. You know, the
Mhm.
falling away of knowing, you know, that when that starts to happen, you know, or the falling away of motivation,
Yeah,
you
that's a
know.
big one.
Oh, it's a big one. And so sometimes, you know, I'll find people that are there and don't know what's going on or I mean, by and large, of course, you know, people find us who are seeking it and who do want it. But yeah, are you finding that there are people that like don't really have much context for it sometimes?
Yes, yes. And I noticed that there are maybe, let's say, more people suffering intensely. That's what I find. That
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the amount of suffering is kind of increasing.
yeah, yeah. And along with that, awakenings are happening.
Hmm.
Yes, funny how that
Hmm.
works, huh? It's almost
Yeah,
like we need the suffering,
yeah.
you
It's like
know?
building pressure, 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 and then
Yeah.
maybe a pop.
And maybe a pop. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say suffering really brought me to the cushion and brought me to meditation retreats and, you know, just regular garden variety suffering, you know, restlessness, you know, you know, just random, just the, you know, suffering of simply being alive as a modern human, but then, you know, really deep sufferings, you know,
Hmm.
heartbreak or you know, family stuff or struggling with healing things, stuff that I was healing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, without intense suffering and wanting to relieve that, I don't know if I would have inquired so deeply and concentrated so deeply with my meditation practice, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So suffering, in other words, in other language, is a call or invitation to examine what's going on.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. And as you said, you're right. It's really increasing.
Hmm.
And you know, it's good. I like seeing that people are more aware of, you know, taking better care of themselves, having boundaries, knowing about mental health. You know, there's that big wave of, you know, hashtag self-care and mental health and all that great stuff. So people are starting to realize that, you know, there's another way to live. There's got to be another way to live. And they may not be on the spiritual path yet, but I think it's positive what I see, you know, out there.
And
Yeah.
sometimes life gives that opening or a glimpse.
Yeah,
Curtains come up. Oh,
exactly.
wow.
Yeah.
That
The
feels
veil.
good.
Yeah.
I want
And then
that.
people say, I want that back. How do I get
Yes.
it back? I mean, do you have this? You have people come to you, they're like, how do I get that back? I had this experience. How do I get it back?
Yes, all the time. All the time. And that's
What's in the
what happened to me as well. I had a glimpse on magic mushrooms years ago.
aha.
And then I saw that the mind can be quiet, no thoughts whatsoever,
Yeah.
and just being. Oh, that felt so good.
Just existing. Yeah.
Just
I had a busy
being.
mind
Oh,
too. You had a busy mind as well. Yeah.
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 And
I think
then
most
I wanted that. I wanted that back.
you wanted that back. Yeah. Yeah, back. It's always in the past, right?
Aha, aha,
That's
aha.
the illusion at first, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it existed in time prior to this. It
Mm-hmm.
can't be here now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it is. Yeah,
Well, it
yeah.
is. But
I
if you
know.
stop looking for back,
I know. But yeah, I like playing the devil's advocate with people like, well, maybe it is. I mean, where did it go?
mm,
I don't know.
yeah.
Why don't you look for it? Might be here.
I've seen
Who knows?
if you take magic mushrooms, the trip never ends.
I mean, I've done a couple of magic mushrooms. trips. But so what do you think about psychedelics for opening people up to non-duality, to
Well,
awakening?
if it's calling you, then yes, big yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's not just an opening, it's also healing. Because you
Yeah.
kind of have to face in a gentle and a kind and magic mushrooms, they are to assist. It's like another consciousness
Yeah.
that comes in to assist and maybe remove some obstacles or show you something different or give you some taste of what's possible.
Yeah.
So if that is calling, then yes. If it's not calling, then no. You don't need
Yeah.
to go and look for it, because if it comes, it comes.
Yeah.
That's my view.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good because more and more people, I think, are getting into psychedelics. And sometimes people will ask me, like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, you can do it without them. But if they're calling you, like you said, yeah, then explore it, you know? Yeah.
Mm. I think
That wasn't my
the
path.
beauty of these, not just magic mushrooms, all psychedelics or whatever,
Yeah.
nature tools, is that it has the ability to show what is beyond the ordinary mind, which you cannot do.
Yeah.
Like you cannot just drink some matcha tea and say, oh, okay, now let's see how
Right.
reality really looks like, you know.
Right. Right.
But if you
Even though
take
caffeine
something
is,
and it's mind
yeah.
opens,
Yeah.
ah, okay, mind closes. Now work. You
Yeah.
saw what's
Exactly.
possible. Now work.
Yeah. You saw what's possible. Now get to work. Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
I see
It's good for an opening. Yeah. There are so many doorways in, huh?
it.
So many doorways. And you mentioned healing too, which I think is so important. So many people on the awakening path want to just wake up and think that that's going to solve everything, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's
And
like the
you feel,
magic pill. You take it and your
yeah,
life suddenly becomes rosy, happy. Your
suddenly
cat dies and
better.
you are like happy. Yay, good.
Yeah, all happy all the time.
Yeah, happy all the time.
And all your humanity gets erased and you're floating on a cloud and
Yeah.
you're
And there
you're
is no
steam
more body or there is no more
and no more
troubles,
body. I
no
don't feel
relationship.
connected to my body. What? Yeah. No. And it's like, you want to be connected to your body. I bring the body into what I do quite a bit, and I have a feeling you do too, with seekers. And I can feel the resistance sometimes, like, no, because what I found was beyond the body. So why am I connecting to my body or being present with my body? But it's such a doorway in, and we have to include it, I mean, because after all, this path is about inclusion. you know
Exactly.
my experience is that it's a big, like, just including more and more and more and more and more, and we can't leave out our humanity. That's not true non-duality. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know everything is divine, or everything is reality, except this stinky humanity that I'm dragging around. And it's like, no, 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 no. This too.
This too. And that. And that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So healing's really important. And there seems to be a focus on healing now in the collective. So that's good.
Mm,
We need it. But healing doesn't alone, relieve suffering. It can keep us on that healing loop, right? Where there's always something to improve or get better or change or fix, or, especially if we go at it from that place, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I often ask people this silly question. I say, did you create the universe? I mean, did you make these colors, sounds, like how it all works? Did you create this? You go, no. And I say, how do you know that it's not working? How do you know that you have to fix it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
all
Maybe there's
working.
nothing.
It's all working as intended, right? Without trying to fix it, we can start looking how it is working, what's going on here, how
Yes.
these patterns start and how they play out and
Yeah.
what's the reaction and response. But if I think that it's not working and I have to fix it, then I'm the general manager of the universe. Big
The
deal.
general manager of the universe. Let me speak to the manager completely. Yeah. And it's such a it's such a head trip. Um, it's a nice fiction.
Mm.
If because it works until it doesn't work anymore, because a lot of spirituality, as you well know, out there, I mean, there are so many different, paths people are taking, but the whole manifestation trip people get on that, they have some control over everything and it can just make people grip to control more, you know. So,
I tried that.
so yeah, I tried that. I manifested this meeting that's happening right now.
No, no,
Um,
I did. I did
you
actually.
did, yeah, I did that. I did. I tried it. Yeah, I did it. I made that happen. I've met people like that where it's like, oh yeah, this great thing happened in my life, well, I manifested that. And at the same time, as you well know, it's such a paradox when we let go of control and let go of thinking we're the general manager of the universe. We can also tap into a cooperation with the forces of nature and move with where we're being, called. And that can feel like something's manifesting, right?
Hmm,
Can
hmm.
feel like we're kind of making it happen maybe if we're of a certain mindset, but really it's just, we're flowing with what is wanting to flow in what direction. And so it's that paradox, of having intention, you know, and being intentional about what you do. And so some might call that manifestation, but uh
Oh
yeah,
yeah, we
when we're
can call it manifestation, but it's not
yeah,
the mind or the little me or this something
that's
that
right.
is doing
That's
that.
right. Yeah, it's life living through you, life wanting to have this experience that's happening. So I
Mm,
guess you could say, okay, you manifested it, but only as life itself and surrendering to life.
mm,
So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I like that you bring in the healing part, integration post-awakening.
that's so important.
So important. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have this blown out experience and you don't know what happened and you want to go back in, and then another something happens, and then you're even more lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, It's tough.
It is. It is. Did you have moments like that on your path, or were you did you have like a practice that held you?
It's weird because I never had any practices ever. And my practice shaped itself in a way of uh, giving sessions to people. Like right
Mm-hmm.
away, I saw what everyone was looking for. And I met Pamela Wilson.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. And I
Uh-huh.
saw how she was working. And I was like, wow. And I started to play with that or experiment with that. And I saw that it's such a transformation happening just of this exchange of in a
Yeah,
different way. Because I studied
yeah.
psychology, they didn't teach us that. What
Uh-huh.
Pamela
Yeah.
showed me is how to deal with all these emotions and fear, for
Mhm.
example. So just my playing and meeting people, giving them sessions was also
Yeah.
my own process to look at stuff that is here. Because as I noticed
Yeah.
that whoever comes in for me, it's also for me. And then whatever releases here releases there. So that became a practice.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
And for many years, I was on typing, like working with people on messages,
Yeah.
just giving them questions. They come back to me, and that was my practice, and still is
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's a reminder of you can always go deeper. You can always, I mean, what's been realized is what's been realized, right? But, the embodiment, I don't think it really ends. Some people feel that there's an embodiment process that ends at a certain point. And I think as long as we have a body, we're every cell, every aspect of our life, everything we lay our eyes on is being saturated with truth more and more and more and more and more. And I mean, that's what makes life fun. I mean, otherwise, like boring. I mean, it's just There's no growing edge anymore. Uh, yeah, just becoming a fuller and fuller human. I do think that that's part of this path. We become more fully human as we realize what we are beyond the human, you know,
Mm.
that ultimately, fundamentally, we're not human, you know? So living as that paradox, yeah, it's never ending.
Yeah, there's also room for expansion.
Yeah, yeah,
Big Bang.
yeah.
Did,
Yeah,
did at some
yeah,
point it stopped and started shrinking? I don't know. I don't know. It's just a concept, right? So I don't know if that
right,
happened.
right.
But the concept is that it's ever expanding.
It's ever expanding. If the universe is ever expanding, then why wouldn't we, Um, but yeah, to your point, like I do think there are more awakenings. Um, yeah. And maybe it's part of that expansion. Time seems to be speeding up too. I mean, time
Mhm.
at a certain point completely collapsed for me, as I'm sure it did for you on your path, where it's just like, oh, whoa, past, present, and future are all happening now. I mean, beyond the realization of the present moment, which, but deeper than that, just like it actually doesn't really exist. And uh, sort of the seeing that. There is an acceleration, at least from here. But I think in general with the collective, there does seem to be some acceleration of time. And I wish I could expound on that and had some science background or something, but I do not. So I'll just leave it at that. This is vodka, by the way.
Oh,
Just
nice.
kidding. Would that be terrible?
I'll
That's a
have
silly
my,
joke.
hold on. I'm going to have some of my vodka. Here it is. Cheers.
Cheers to you. Mm. Suddenly turned to bourbon. I manifested that.
Great. Oh, let's talk about the cosmic joke.
The cosmic joke, it's pretty hilarious, huh? That we think we're separate. How'd that happen?
How did that happen? Yeah.
How did that happen?
You wake
The
up one
cosmic,
morning, you're a little kid running around, and then suddenly, oh, I'm separate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the rediscovering of like, oh yeah, right, I wasn't separate. Oh, this is the most hilarious joke but when you're in the joke, talk about humor being such a release and such a wonderful thing. But when you're in the joke of believing that you're separate from everything, it is so painful. And the waking up from that is, I mean, I don't know if you had this experience, but I laughed my ass off the first time I saw that I was not like actually a self. Like I just thought it was so hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. And I actually remember that I had a glimpse before that, before the actual awakening, where uh I was at a retreat center and I was walking to lunch and I was feeling so much joy and so much bliss. And it was early on my path, and I was like, whoa, this feels so good. How can this be? Like, I'm depressed. And I'd been told I was depressed in my 20s, that I'm depressed,
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed depressed or whatever, right? At times. And and I had the thought, why do I feel bliss and joy? I'm a depressed person. And I saw that identity so clearly, and I was like, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. I'm depressed. And I could not stop laughing. I fell to the ground on this dirt path leading to the kitchen at Mount Baldy Zen Center, laughing and laughing, going, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. Because the story of I'm depressed it was such a cosmic joke. It was so ridiculous. And so somebody poked their head out of their cabin and said, "Hey, do you want to come in here?" And silent retreat. And I did, and I just sat down on her floor and she's like, "I'm going to lunch." And she shut the door behind her. And I probably laughed for about an hour. so it was a glimpse into identity and story that I had believed. I had taken on this label at 25 when I was depressed by some random doctor who handed me Prozac. You know, so yeah, it can feel like such a relief when we wake up and see the fiction of what we are or see the unity of what we are. And you and I were talking before we started recording about how humor and the whole waking up from a belief, that moment of laughter at a comedy club is you suddenly what you believed a second before is not what you believe now. You see something new now. And it's like, oh, like it's a surprise. That's where laughter comes from. Is part of it is a surprise. So the cosmic joke is once we see it, it really is can be a surprise to many people,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah.
I
It
had
was
that
really fun.
experience of laughing. I laughed for 3 days. And it was everything was painful, the jaw, the ribs. I just could not stop laughing.
Yeah.
And the joke what I got was I was having some argument with somebody on email.
Yeah,
The
of course.
other person was very serious. And I
Yeah.
just saw through that seriousness, like, okay, this one universe manifests as all these different people, right? Seem separate, and this finger is arguing with that finger while everything is just the same. And how hilarious is
Right.
that? How hilarious is that?
Right.
Taking it
Right.
seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you laughed for 3 days. So there's been so much laughter. I mean, w with the first awakening moment, yeah, the earlier on my path, there was a lot of laughter at these seeing and at the seeings, at the awakening moments. And then with the non-dual awakening when it happened, it was just so simple. There was no laughter. You know, it was like it was the obviousness of it, but it was just so quiet. It was thunderously loud, the obviousness of it, and also so quiet and like, yeah, it's always been like this, always been here. Oh, I miss those days when it was brand new. No,
Yeah,
that shock to the system, you know, of going from one way of seeing things to a totally new way of seeing things. I mean, it's such a contrast, you know? Yeah, when it first dawns, it's such a contrast.
life goes this, and then suddenly, like Tarantino movie.
Yeah, yeah, like a Tarantino movie,
And
kind of
then
like that.
and it's like, who writes the script? It's just getting
Like,
weird.
oh, wait a
Get me out of
minute.
here.
Right.
It's
Or a
weird.
Christopher Nolan flick who's like, wait a minute, what? Christopher Nolan, Memento, and
Yeah.
Inception. And like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the integration piece, it's people often think they don't need to integrate anything. Who's here to integrate, man? I don't exist. You know, they'll say that, but
I don't meet many of these people.
that's good.
I don't speak to non-duality crowd, or I'm not in any kind of community where I listen to these kind of conversations anymore.
Good. But anymore, right? No, I see it a lot online. You know, I see it in like Facebook groups and things like that. And um, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd say the people that come to me, if they're if they're reaching out to me, they understand about healing and embodiment. Otherwise, they wouldn't waste their time. But but yeah, I do think it is, endemic in non-dual circles, though, don't you find to kind of want to deny the body, deny the humanity, deny the personality?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's one way to see, one thing to see that the story is not me, the body is not me, the
yeah,
emotions is not me, that me that was believed to be me, that I think is not even there. But the
yeah.
body is here, the mind is here, the heart is here, the experience is here, your parents are
Experience.
here, your toilet
Yeah,
is here, your bed
your
is here.
toilet is here. The garbage can is here.
Yes. So to deny
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
it's being a little bit lost in the concepts or lost in the clouds, and that needs to come down to
it does.
experience and root. So there is some sense of stability and groundedness. Otherwise, yeah, it's just where
Yeah,
the wind blows.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what do you think of like when psychic phenomena opens up on somebody's path?
Yay.
Yay, why not?
Sure. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just like with psychedelics, if you're called to psychedelics, great. If you're called to, whatever, spirit guides, great. Yeah. Yeah, in the Buddhist tradition, it was very much looked at as like, it's a distraction.
Mhm.
Um, and in many ways, I was grateful for that because it just kept me on the cushion and kept me, continuing to do what I do. And uh, but yeah, yeah, it's interesting in spiritual circles seeing some people get very caught up in that, and other people completely reject it. So I find it fascinating, just all the different nooks and crannies of spirituality, because I think in Los Angeles, I've come in contact with like people in the healing scene, people in the psychedelic scene, people in the crystal shop crowd, who go into crystal shops and want to buy a, crystal to make their life better. And then the non-duality crowd. It's like, it's just interesting to see all to me, I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like this, they'll separate things. This is wrong, this is right, and I'm in the
yeah,
middle.
yeah,
I know it
yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's fascinating to me. It's often I don't look at it like so much with a lot of judgment, but just sort of like, wow, like, flowers can pop up in so many different varieties, but they're all flowers, everybody's on a spiritual path, but they're all going about it so differently and finding their way and, you know, but, yeah, yeah, just
None
this,
of it is right or wrong.
yeah, exactly. None of it's right or wrong. And yeah, it's interesting.
I think the difficulty that seekers have with that is that they see different varieties and they think that this variety is not enough
Yeah.
because it doesn't have that variety's experiences.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
there is a menu in a restaurant and you can hit this, and the other, but you cannot because there is something wrong with this one. And
Yeah.
that's difficulty to, stop looking at the menu, what's available for
Yeah.
other people. Who cares?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Who
look
cares?
here.
What are you experiencing?
Yeah.
Right. What is happening right here? And that people, loosening this grip on this idea that there's something to be fixed, that there, I mean, because underneath that is like there's something wrong with me, that's the story, that their experience is so wrong. And everything a seeker is looking for is here right now in their experience right now and right now and right now, you know. It's not anywhere else. It's right here. It's so simple.
Right. So simple and yet so difficult because it's so simple.
Because it's so simple. Yeah. Yeah, it's so close it can't be seen, you know.
So good it cannot be accepted.
That's right. I love that. I don't remember the whole thing, but I remember when I first read that, I was like, oh, oh, something about this. I know it to be true. And I was still a seeker. Yeah. And I trusted in that. I trusted in the teachings, like the really like ancient teachings. I don't know what that was. It was like I don't know, a blind faith really, but I loved the whole, here are the teachings, but go try it for yourself. Go find out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go find out for yourself. But there was some faith in it, like, okay, there's
Hmm.
something here with these teachings. They must be pointing to something.
Hmm.
They must be, because I keep finding little jewels along the way. So, you know,
And that's the ultimate pointer, really. Go and look for
yeah,
yourself.
go and look for yourself. Yeah.
I say everything else is entertainment. Go look for yourself
Every,
is the part.
everything else, everything else is entertainment or distraction, you know. We love to be distracted.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's good.
And sometimes it's fun to be distracted. Why not? Lose yourself in a movie for a while. You
Mm.
lose yourself in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of distractions here, like 5 cats. They,
You have 5 cats? Oh, I saw a video where you had a kitten. So cute.
yeah, I have 5 cats inside, and then there is a family of cats living outside the door. So you kind of open the door, you have to push them
Oh my
away.
gosh.
So
You're like,
these
no,
ones
no,
have to
no,
come.
dinner time's not yet. Yeah. Oh, how sweet. That keeps you busy.
Oh, it keeps me so distracted.
It keeps you so distracted. Busy or distracted? Which one is it?
Oh, but it's very
Both.
cute. Cute and funny. So I have my
Oh,
comedy in the house and
they
outside.
are natural comedians. Cats are natural comedians and they take no shit. They just do it. Can I swear on this podcast? They just, they show up as they are, and you better bend and amend for them.
Right.
I love cats. I don't have a cat right now, but
I can
they,
send you
they're good.
some.
Can you send me some? Please do. I'll come get them. I'd like at least 4, please.
Oh, I have this wonderful family. I never seen it like it, but they look like more human than some human. There's a mom, dad, and 2 kittens, girl and
Oh,
boy, and they live outside the door. And they
yeah,
cuddle, they wash each other, they sleep together, they eat together for months now. It's incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, and the dad is so gentle with them.
So sweet. So sweet. They're so
Yeah,
connected to each
yeah,
other and in sync and in rhythm
mm,
with each other.
yeah. I never seen it
That's
like that.
beautiful. That's really beautiful. Whole family. Do you think they'll come inside? Do you want
Uh,
them to come inside or do you want them
I
to?
have 5 inside. It's kind of, I said
Oh,
three
that
is
would be
enough, but when you say enough, you know what happens?
so did you get them there when you moved there or did you
They,
bring them?
no, I didn't bring them to this island. I live on an island called
Yeah.
Mauritius. There are a lot of
Yeah.
stray animals, a lot of stray
Yeah.
dogs, and nobody likes cats here. Like cats
Huh.
are horrible, you know, don't
Oh.
let them in, that kind of stuff. Ooh. So,
This is why they're flocking to your house
so we
because
feed
they
them.
know. Yeah, you're feeding them. Yeah.
Mm.
And the word's getting around with the cat gangs that you're the
Yeah,
one to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, we had about 20 cats coming to eat.
No way.
Yeah, outside.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
Yikes.
then I don't know what happened.
That is a
Um,
lot.
a lot of them turned up dead. And now this family that is living, they kind of chased everyone away. So
Uh-huh.
there is another tier behind the
They're guard
gate.
cats.
There's another
Yeah,
tier.
you have bodyguards now. You have furry guards,
Mm.
furry bodyguards. That's so sweet. Yeah. Just in tune with nature. Yeah.
Lovely how the silence come in and then eats everything. And then
Yeah.
something else. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. It's such a great light. Yeah. Great lightness. Yeah. Just to exist, just to be, you know, like you discovered with that mushroom trip. You mean I can just be? I can just exist. Whoa. Without thinking about existing?
Incredible.
Yeah.
And do you have an advice for seekers that are waiting for awakening?
Yeah. I'd say include your humanity. Don't leave out your humanity on this journey. Um, if you become myopic about seeing through the self or seeing through the veil of separation, and you can become very myopic about it, right? Just expand and open and include everything for a while, and then bear down again. Padma Sambhava, the 8th century uh, great Guru Rinpoche, who brought Tibetan Buddhism who brought Buddhism to Tibet. Um, yeah, he has a meditation awareness of awareness, where it's like you bear down on awareness itself, and then you let go and you just allow and you open and let everything to be. And then you bear down with your attention, right? And then you relax with your attention. So I would say, yeah, practice that in your life for seekers to include everything and then penetrate through, and then relax. Let that go for a while. You know, go see a movie, go be human, enjoy your body, enjoy being human, and then go back to inquiry. You know, people can drive themselves a little crazy with inquiry, just
Yeah, and only for like 40 years. That's
yeah, yeah, 50 years, 60. But yeah, it seems that sometimes when people really let go, you know, they're not looking.
mhm.
They've been inquiring. Beautiful, great. The mind is sharpened and ready. And then they let that go and they're just making a sandwich. I mean, a lot of these moments that happened for me, these glimpses and then these realizations really were a relaxation. I wasn't looking for anything. I was either walking to lunch or putting my shoes on at the Zendo door or walking into my apartment or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Because when you're
Yeah.
looking, 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 and then you're not looking, that waiting or seeking kind of
Yeah.
ceases, and then it opens.
Yeah. 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 Hmm. That's softening, 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 softening. I like to remind people to just soften on the path. Just soften.
Everything can just melt.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing to look for. You don't need to see anything. You don't need any answers right now. I'm just softening to what
Mhm.
is here and what's in front of you. And yeah, beautiful path of inclusion then.
But there are two things, let's say, in the end or towards the end of it. There's nothing wrong with me. It's all okay.
Yep.
And everything's included.
Amen, sister. That's right. That's it. So, to seekers, like you can practice that now, even though if that's not your reality or you haven't realized that, you can practice that. Practice opening and softening to that,
Mm.
that there's nothing wrong with you. There never was. You're perfectly okay. And everything's included. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's so nice to be here with you. Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
Well, you've been helping so many people over the years, and may you continue.
And you too. And what's your
Thank-
website? Can you tell everyone how to find
It's
you and how you work?
yeah, it's lightofyourbeing.com, lightofyourbeing.com. I see people one-on-one and I hold groups. I have an awakening support group for neurodivergent and highly sensitive people. And I have all sorts of different events online that you can attend. And yeah, so
Wonderful. So if you feel
yeah,
called, connect
sure.
with Sarah.
Come on down.
Yes, and find the light of your being.
That's right. That's right. The light of your being. And
Mm.
discover the cosmic joke.
Yep. And then we can laugh all together.
Laughter is holy. It really is. Well, good luck with your cats.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for watching, for listening.
So
If you have any comments, like or share, please. Always nice to hear from you. See you next time. Bye for
see you
now.
next time.